trades. So these are actual on-chain trades, and if you click on it, you can a transaction will pop up just anywhere on that. Yeah, so you can see that's actually on-chain, created by an agent using account abstraction, and all gas fees are paid in USDC. So the agent never has to worry about holding ETH for gas. And then the other cool thing is that will let us do cross-chain eventually pretty easily. So yeah, I just said a lot of things.
No,
But
no,
yeah,
but this is really interesting, and I think, like, before we dive too much into the platform, directionally, I want to know what you think about how agents are going to affect the finance landscape as we know it. Are we going to see autonomous VCs? Are we going to see autonomous traders? Is everything going to be an algorithm? Is there going to be any edge for human, or is it all going to be abstracted by agents? Like, how do you think about that?
totally. Yeah, I mean, I think there's like one kind of misconception about agents currently, at least, where people are assuming that they're thinking for themselves. And I think when you enter with that kind of mentality, um, you're not going to have the outcomes that you're looking for. Really, they're a really beautiful extension of yourself. So it's like like robot arms. You can cook 5 meals at once instead of just cooking with one hand. Um, and so if you're already in these alpha groups and you already have access to the data streams that would previously have let you make really strong positive trades, I think having an agent watching those groups for you, pinging you when things are looking exciting, doing some sentiment analysis on Twitter, looking at your different private chats. I think there's seriously like a pretty strong opportunity here, and I think the same goes for VCs too. If you have a venture desk that is looking at hundreds of projects, a lot of things fly under the radar, but now you can analyze every single email that you're receiving, and so we're going to see a lot more capital efficiency in the market moving forward, I believe.
Yeah, it's a really wild concept to think about. Of course, you look at a lot of the top performing hedge funds in the world, and it's currently all algorithm based. But now it just seems like it's being a little more democratized to people that can hook up an agent and look for certain edges. From your experience so far, what agents are doing the best? Is there a strategy? Is there a rhyme to some of the winners here?
Yeah, so I mean, right now we're in a closed beta. We have about 25 different agents that have tried it out so far with the live trading. The It's interesting. Everyone has entirely different approaches, which is something that I find really unique with this. When you look at a platform like Axiom, you just see a bunch of names and you just know it's a bunch of humans, trading the way that humans trade. But with agents, you can give them very clear direction and guardrails. And so, some people, for example, have been doing like smart wallet tracking. I believe the All Your Base team. Yeah, you're looking at the tweet right now.
Mhm.
Minion and All Your Base are their two wallets. Minion is tracking smart wallets and reading alpha groups, and has made a fair amount of like pretty solid trades in just the first few days. And if you click on that account, you should be able to see some of those trades. They're probably mostly paper trades if you toggle it at the top right.
Top right. Oh, there it is. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, look at that.
So 79 trades, 56% win rate. And these are all, there's no slippage when you're doing simulated
Yeah.
funds. So who knows if they're buying like 10% of the supply or something. But, you can see there's a handful of trades that have been profitable. Those are all the open ones. And then if you just keep scrolling down to the bottom, it shows like the trade history. So you can see the profit and loss on everything. Um, so yeah, it's really interesting. I think especially because you have the opportunity to train your agent however you want to. So the kind of next step is to give people the tools to be profitable. That's a little bit trickier and it's going to take longer. So we want to just get the platform live and running. Launch should be sometime this week for the public beta.
Interesting. I want to walk it back a little bit. What's your background? Obviously, you're fascinated by agents trading, and I think finance, crypto in general. It seems like I'd hope so. What's your background with all this stuff? What kind of led you to fund
Yeah,
this?
yeah, totally. I mean, I've been in. I'll keep it as brief as possible. But I've been in crypto for about 5 years. Started with NFTs in like 2021, and then have just been full time like riding the wave. So I had a startup, funded startup in like 2023, which was actually an account abstraction startup when account abstraction first started like kind of catching wind. And we were building like payment rails for humans at the time. And then I did some meme coin stuff here and there, and was kind of like I took like a few months off in the fall into the winter and came back in January, just really excited to jump back into some things, and was just scanning, had my ear to the ground, and the agent economy really seemed to be the most intriguing thing that was going on at the time. And right after I launched, like no one had been really talking about agentic trading, and then there's a tweet from Elon talking about hiring crypto degens for XAI to teach AI how to trade. There's been a handful of other projects that are launching that are doing some sort of experimentation around trading. Coinbase put out their agentic wallet framework, which all of these things basically are just leading me to believe that agents will trade. I've been saying
Mhm.
this kind of like a mantra. Agents will trade. Agents will have wallets, and so yeah, it's I think it's topical, and I think it is inevitable.
What is do you know what XAI's play here is on this?
I don't. They're a big company, obviously, and so I think they do a lot of experimentation. Um, I wish I could take a good guess, but they're probably doing more like algorithmic, high level stuff. Probably traditional finance.
Are they doing like systematic trading for the company itself, or do you think it's to productize something within X that people can use?
Well, right. So they're launching, a trading infrastructure on X pretty soon. So you'll be able to trade tickers directly on X. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to build some sort of either agentic or maybe algorithmic market maker, something like that.
Wild.
Not really entirely sure. I do know that that is public, and Nikita's talked about it a handful of times. So
So when you think about the economics of FOMO, like maybe you're focused on just getting the product out, seeing how these agents interact, kind of gathering data more like a research department right now. But economically, what's the end goal for this, the end game? How do you turn this into a profitable company? I'm assuming you guys are pre-revenue at this point.
yeah, I mean, right now we have the token, so we launched a token. We didn't need to raise any funds, so we've been able to kind of bankroll it that way. And then ideally, what we'll have right now, everything's free on the platform, so you can sign up. It's actually, I think it's 2 cents to sign up. That's just pays for the gas fees for the agent registration. And then we don't have any trading fees at the moment, so we'll probably add trading fees that will go back into token buys and burns, and then all the data streams that we're looking to add, and a lot of other infrastructure that we want to put under kind of the FOMO umbrella will all be revenue generating. So kind of the beauty of working in a space that is underdeveloped and new is that there's a lot of gaps to fill. And so if we can step in and fill those gaps, there's a lot of opportunity for us.
And you mentioned data streams. What does that look like when you say data streams?
Yeah, so like right now you can, it's kind of like getting information from a fire hose. You're getting a drink from a fire hose.
Okay.
Like an agent can go to an API and get all the new pairs from Dex Screener. But then it's up to that agent to figure out and filter all that information. And so they don't necessarily get any strong value just from a standard API. And so what we're going to, or what we're currently looking into is like how we can make this more accessible, and build out potential profit streams that are kind of more plug and play. So if you want to do scalping, we could have trend-based data streams. It's like, oh, this token's down 50% in the hour, but it was because this one whale sold, and there's strong buy volume, blah, blah, blah. And now the agent can go in and buy that token because it got the notification. So it's almost like an alpha group, but via API for agents.
Yeah, I feel like when I look at this, the most powerful use case I see is just like there at some point you're going to have consistently successful trading algorithms and agents on here. And I think that data is going to be highly valuable to a lot of these algorithmic funds or people looking to develop algorithmic bots. And we know they're willing to put contracts and pay a lot of money on some of this proprietary technology. Is that a thought that's crossed your mind recently? Like, hey, maybe we'll get some really good data at some point. Like, let's just iterate on the product, on the platform, let as many agents join and test as they can until one of them finds a really successful algorithm. And now we can get that data out to whoever's willing to buy it at a high ticket price. Is that something you guys have conversed over?
Yeah, totally. I mean, so the team's small. It's me and one other guy. And so we have, tons and tons of ideas rolling through, and we're just building the most kind of like prevalent thing at any given moment. So we've talked through tons of like different things that we could potentially do. I think kind of what you're describing is like copy trading in a sense. And so if we can allow these agents to monetize their trade streams, I think that could be huge. So it happens before it, hits a public dashboard. You can, you can copy trade within that same bundle or block. Because when we use account abstraction, we're basically taking a bunch of trades, submitting them to a bundler, and then they all go in the same flash block on base. And so if we can get other people in that same block, it'll be, better outcomes for those copy traders. And so that could be monetized pretty easily. Traditional copy trading relies on, watching the mempool and then trying to get in as soon as possible, which leads to people getting wrecked a lot, which we've probably, I'm sure you guys have seen on Pump Fun and whatnot.
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. How are you guys building this? Is coding engineering in your blood? Have you been doing it forever? Is this hey, now we have the ability to vibe code with Claude Code or Codex, and I'm able to build pretty much whatever my heart desires? Like, how is this? How is that working on the back end for you guys?
Yeah. Well, my business partner is a full stack software engineer, and he's very, very good, like incredibly good. And so I lean on him a lot for making things actually work. And then my background is in product and design and marketing. All the kind of non-technical roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with AI, I can, I did the whole front end of this site with Claude. Traditionally, I would have done it with Figma and then send it over to a front end engineer and had him implement it or her. And now I can just kind of slap it together and it works quite well. As you can see, there's a couple bugs here and there, but those are just growing pains. For the most part, you get the information you need.
Yeah, it's really wild how far we've come with that. When you actually think about that, I think from your perspective, what do you think the most valuable role in role in a business is, considering we're getting into the age where like the idea guy can kind of just build up whatever he really desires. And we're seeing this in real time start to happen and manifest. Someone like yourself, you said that's a little more non-technical in terms of business. Do you think that role is going to be more valuable than an engineer at some point? And this is not directed at your team or a message to your teammate or anything like that. Just kind of wondering how you think about that in terms of future business.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've talked about this a little bit on my personal account. The nature of software in the past has been that the product is kind of the heaviest lift. Getting a functioning product off the ground was always an issue. You could read the cold start problem and read all about that kind of thing. But now, because the product is so easy to put together, really, yeah, you can see right there.
Yeah.
Now because the product is so easy to put together, the real challenge comes with the actual business. And so, anyone can make a product now, but not anyone can make a business. And so, being able to define that moat that makes you the number one place to go for whatever service you're providing is completely different than it was before. It's a lot more branding, reputation, distribution. Whereas in the past, having really good tech might have been enough to get you in front of the right people.
We saw like these 5-minute decision markets show up on prediction markets that the AIs or the agents were trading with some degree of success. It seemed there was some edge that they had. But outside of that, I would say I've largely not seen a dramatic success story around these trading agents, at least in the ones that, retail, quote unquote, crypto retail has access to. I'm sure, of course, proprietary prop firms have tons of success with these things, but I don't know, maybe like zooming out, have you seen like a specific success story where you can point to and be like, yeah, human trading edge is cooked and it's just going to be pure agents? Or do you think there will always be some human trading edge?
Yeah, there's always going to be an edge for humans because they're able to think and reason differently than AI can. When you ask AI a question and it answers, it's just predicting what the next best word in the sentence is going to be. Whereas a human can actually think through and work backwards. And so, that's actually why I am so intrigued by the meme coin stuff, because people have been doing algorithmic trading on, macro, like on a larger scale forever. And it's how pretty much all prop firms are run. They have market makers and whatnot. And so meme coins are different in the sense that they're low liquidity, highly volatile. And people don't trade purely off of like, TA or analysis. It's like a lot of emotion. And so if you can have an agent going on Twitter, scanning new pairs, getting the sentiment, getting all the information, and it can do it even just twice as fast as a human can, then you're already going to get an edge, which is something that we haven't really seen. All the pump fund algorithmic trading that was going on with like, who knows if Cupsy was doing it manually or with a bot, but he would just buy and then sell for like a 2x pretty much instantly. I think now we can get thesis trading via agents, and they can buy things at 10K market cap, sell their initials and then ride it and add more and do all of that kind of on their own once they learn how the market works.
Dom, you're muted.
Thanks, Josh. I see this tweet that you posted, Fido. It says VC is only necessary for a handful of products these days. Maybe just sum this up for us. And I'd love to know how you look at VC currently and why you think it's maybe not what it seems to be for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, VC is important. It's hugely and massively important. You can see the 4 main points there. Like, if you have to pay lawyers millions of dollars, if you need to build warehouses, if you need to do research, there's tons of expenses that cannot be funded by just bootstrapping, unless you're already rich, which is a whole nother conversation. And so when we look at the current landscape of people that are kind of like cloning SaaS companies and making them cheaper, there's a lot less need for a VC to come in and fund that whole thing. And so VCs are, like I said, really important, and they can still be part of this conversation. But now with tokenization of businesses and whatnot, they can just buy on market at fair value, the same way that retail does. And I think that's going to make the landscape a lot more interesting, because we're going to start seeing more of a necessity from VCs and angels to actually have to go in and buy things on market. Whereas previously they're getting backroom deals, or like early access.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. You talk about VC and kind of pair the relationship with, okay, well, I actually launched a token, democratized access, distributed ownership. When you say distributed ownership, like, do you envision a world where the future of tokens has some sort of IP equity rights for holders? How do you guys like approach that and think about that right now with the current token you guys have?
I think I have a bit more of like a Lindy approach to it. I kind of just want to like see what happens. I have plans to incorporate that token into the project and make that token, part of like the flywheel that will inevitably run the business. But in terms of like actual ownership, tokens don't necessarily represent that. In our case, it's just, you can invest in this token and now you're part of the business. And I can't say too much about this without like saying the wrong thing, but you kind of get the gist. It's like you get some of the upside from a project going well. Like, for example, if we, if people come to our platform, we have 1,000 agents trading every day, hundreds of times a day, and we're doing buybacks and burns of the token via those fees. Obviously, there's some upside there. But if we then get acquired or something, it's a different conversation. Like, how does that work for those token holders? So I think a lot of it's still being figured out, and I don't know that I'm the one that's going to figure that out. But it is still like, very interesting to kind of try and wrap your head around it because it's so new.
Totally. I mean, I do a litmus test with founders on here. I say, well, if you got offered like $100 million, what would you do, kind of thing. We know, Pump Fund's done that for Padre, and that didn't end up too great, but it's an experiment, not an experiment, but it's like something that the space is still figuring out kind of in real time. And I'm sure this year it will get sorted out more and more. But wanted to ask about, you mentioned that thousands of agents trading, and I don't know if you've modeled this out yourself, but how big could a platform like this get in terms of agents, the fees generated from these agents? Is it going to be kind of like Spotify, where you have a handful of agents that represent 80 to 90% of the volume on the platform, or do you see it kind of being an even distribution across all 1,000? Like, I'm just wondering how you think about the volumes and potential revenue and business size here.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing so rapidly. I would definitely say that it would be weighted towards one side more than the other, just because that's the nature of finance, right? Like, the majority of people like have more money than the minority of people have more money than the majority, and so the same will probably go for agents. I also anticipate that people will spin up 5 to 10, 20 or more agents, and have them all operating different functions. And so you could have one that does the scalp trading, you could have one that does the thesis trading, you could have one that does copy trading, and so the limit is really up to the I guess the necessity of having all of these different options.
It's valid. I kind of want to go back to the token. You had mentioned that you plan to implement the token in some ways into the platform. Any idea how you guys are thinking about that?
Yeah, I mean, the first and most obvious is trading fees, and so that's like pretty standard across any trading platform. But then when we start talking about other revenue streams, like the APIs, the data streams, copy trading, it's going to be majority fee based. I mean, that's the most natural flywheel for something like this, where if we have heavier volume, then we should be doing heavier inflows to our token. So that's probably like the baseline. I don't want to like overstate my plans because it's still very much so in progress. But yeah, the token will be part of the platform. Yes, 100%.
Sure, that makes sense. What about roadmap? Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have planned next, what you're working on currently, what you're most excited for?
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like I've already touched on the majority of the the near future. So we'll get the live like open beta out ideally this week. So then anyone can sign up, register their agent, and start making trades. And you can do that all within about 1 minute from registering to making your first trade. After that, it starts to be like a lot of user research, and so finding out what people need the most. I'm getting tons of feedback already from the beta testers. They want follows, they want copy trading, they want ways to use the platform as humans. And so if we can kind of sort through all of that and find what is the most high priority, that'll be the next on the list. But really it's all the things I've been saying, like copy trading, data streams, agent infra, things like auth and registration are still kind of being figured out. Like 8004 is a little bit clunky. Those agent registrations can be traded, and so they're not soul bound. And so you can't really use those for authenticating someone. There's other things like how the mempool is going to work with bundles if we have hundreds of agents. A lot of stuff on the roadmap. And I talk pretty freely about it on Twitter. So definitely the next up is getting this live platform out this week.
Yeah, I do like seeing your tweets up there. You have a lot of good takes. You mentioned PMF in your last one. How has product market fit been for you guys and growth?
Really, really great feedback so far. So the PMF, I guess, comes with revenue, right? So like, but in terms of validation, we have seen so many other people like adopting agentic trading into their current products. Cygar just launched an agentic trading platform that's kind of more experimental, where agents launch tokens and then trade each other's tokens, and that's on Abstract. And then the stuff with Elon
vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man who's rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's great.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GM, man. we got our guy
GMCG.
back.
What's up, y'all? What's up? Good to be back. Hope the homies are doing well. Bro, we got Dom here streaming in like 2000K quality.
Did you get is this the new camera?
No new camera. I just got an Elgato Streamlight. I'm
yeah,
still
yeah.
working out the kinks here. I think with the hat on, it kind of adds a weird shade, but yeah, I don't know. You can make it real
We're
bright.
looking good.
Real
Nah,
dark.
dude, it's good to be back, y'all. It's good to be back, man. It's a rough week, but I'm back to chill with the homies. Feeling a lot better, doing a lot better. But taking
Good.
things one day at a time. But yeah, man. I mean, I felt like I've been off for a week, and like every time I didn't really check Twitter or my portfolio or anything really, or Telegram or anything during the last week. I hopped back on Twitter like maybe like once or twice or maybe 3 times, and every time I hop back on, it was like, oh, new Claude bot feature that kills an industry, and then another new AI agent feature that killed another industry. It's just like AI is
IBM is off by 30% in 2 weeks.
I saw that. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I don't think people truly understand the speed at which this will, 1, eat industries, but 2, kind of like proliferate like the mainstream mind share. Like, headlines are about to go absolutely crazy over the course of 2026. I mean, just 3 years ago, AI could barely make Will Smith eat the spaghetti. I don't know if you guys saw that video from
Classic.
you know, like now we have the full movies, full businesses being created, revenue being generated autonomously. I mean, this is wild times, bro.
Man, that Felix stuff is crazy. I mean, $10,000 basically back-to-back days.
Dude.
Talk about autonomous. Actually,
and the marketplace, I finally clicked on this marketplace and I'm like, this is genius, bro. You're giving normies like a $50 sub to like just really basic AIs that do stuff for them. Like, guys.
I mean, can I just claim clout a little bit here? Is that okay, chat? Is that okay? Because before I left in December last year, I gave you guys the tomato coin at like 1.8 mil or something like that. Came back, I told you guys I left you with alpha. Before I left for the week due to a family emergency, I let you guys know that about Felix here. I think it was at like 1.5 mil market cap. So, and here we are, new all-time highs. Let me actually pull up a chart real quick for you guys and show you guys the chart, because this is absolutely crazy. And I'll also share my screen here with you guys. Boom. And here's the Felix chart. Breaking 5 mil market cap, heading towards all-time high. Nice little clean break here of a key resistance. So as long as we hold above this, good to go, chilling. But I think this is a time that like I don't really pay attention to charts much. Number one, because I was off the last week, but number two, because I told you guys this is just a season to buy something, have a thesis, buy it, and hold it. Very, very simple. And I shared a tweet with you guys under this recent post. I just made a tweet on Twitter here. Let me share it with you guys and blow up the screen so you can actually see it. Basically, what's happening with Felix is the revenue is going parabolic. So it's basically, 10K. It's at 10K revenue daily. And that's excluding the trading fees, mind you. It earned 40K in just the first month. And we're seeing that, base, specifically Jesse from the base team, he's been really excited about the Felix project and how it's going. He's excited about the Claude Mart, and we'll kind of dig into that here in a little bit as well. But this is kind of the breakdown of the dashboard. So the revenue that it's generating, you see over the last couple of days. Obviously, today's the 24th, so today's not finished yet. But you see over the last few days, it's been generating decent revenue. But I want to bring your attention to the treasury here at the bottom of the screen. We see that it holds 36.4 ETH, so almost 70K in ETH alone. But in Felix tokens, it actually earns, it actually has $140,000 in Felix. I didn't want to include that in the post because I feel like, it's in its own token. So I don't really want to include that, but that's a part of the treasury value. So combined, we're looking at, somewhere over like $210,000, somewhere around there. So yeah, this is absolutely insane. And this is where I mentioned, I quote tweeted myself where I said, this is where you buy things you like and just hold until the thesis plays out. I mean, can you trench and make something? Yes. But is it profitable? For the 90%, maybe if you're a top trencher, you have your setup, you have your meme scope open or what have you. You have your own sort of way of going about aggressively trenching. You have a strategy, go for it. But I think for most people, you just buy and hold. And that's what I said with Felix. You buy it, and I'm not going to lie, I was hurting at minus 50% at one point. But here I am. I think now I'm up like almost 200%, about 3x here at the all-time highs. So looking good here, fellas. Looking good. Let's see. I don't know
Yeah,
where
that
you
chart is
want to
nuts.
start here.
Dude, I don't know.
where you want to go here.
We got 15 minutes. I got some high level stuff to cover. We do have a hard stop at 2 p.m. today because of some meetings, but I got some high level stuff, man. Jane Street's getting in some hot water right now for allegedly the Terra Luna crash and insider trading. Coinbase just launched something pretty cool. I guess I'll just jump over that and we can try to riff off some of these real quick.
Yeah, here's the Jane Street tweet from Zero Hedge.
Yeah. Here, I'll get to that in a second because I got a lot of stuff on that. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pull up this. But yeah, this is an interesting move from Coinbase. I'm not sure if you saw this. It just happened as of like an hour before starting the show. But 8,000 plus stocks now 24/5 trading on Coinbase. So it's not 24/7. I guess it's not crypto rails, but they do have stock trading enabled on Coinbase, which is pretty interesting.
Wow. Okay.
If
All
the
in
fees
one
make
platform.
sense, that's what I'm saying, bro. If the fees make sense, I'm not getting like raped on spread or something. I could definitely see myself trading, through Coinbase as like a broker for stocks rather than, a banking app or like Robinhood or something. It's just easy. It's just easy. So I think that's interesting. Daddy Duster on the Felix note here. Felix just burned 3.5%, valued at $140,000 too. Which I guess I'll just pull that up real quick because it's live real time. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I did forget to mention that he burned 3.5%, and it looks like he might be burning. Yeah, that's the tweet actually. Yeah, so 3.5%. I saw that on the dashboard, but I didn't know Daddy Duster is he like buying and burning, or is it just like burning based on what he's getting out of his fees and tokens that's given to him? Let me know. But Crypto Jones, appreciate you.
Burns from people trading. So I guess maybe there's a Felix swap fee or something when they trade. I don't really understand how that's working unless that's literally trading fees going into buybacks and burns. Meanwhile, we just crossed our first 10,000 revenue day.
Yeah, I think Banker gives fees like in ETH and in tokens, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I think Banker gives you in ETH and in tokens.
Why are we still on that wave? Like I feel like it's never ended good for any of these platforms. Believe did it. It just basically meant that when everyone was done, they're just going to market sell all the tokens they earned and acquired. Believe ended up market selling a bunch of tokens. Like why are platforms still doing this half paid out in tokens, half paid out in ETH thing? If that's even the case.
It looks like it is. Daddy Duster, I believe how Banker works if they get a % in ETH and a native token.
That's so stupid.
Huh? What? Anywho. But LOL, what's going on? I thought this was live meme trading. This is live everything, brother. We cover everything happening in markets. So yeah, we do some live trading and stuff like that. But we cover news everywhere. Anything affecting markets, that's what we cover. We share alpha. We do interviews. We do it all here, man. Not gonna lie. But yeah, let's go ahead and go on to the next segment here.
All right, bet. All right, let's just continue this conversation. Nonetheless, I think we pretty much covered it on a high level. Pretty crazy that Coinbase is getting into stocks. I think this will actually do really, really well for them. So hopefully they do it right. On that note, we'll talk about Jane Street, which you were just covering, which I think is pretty crazy here. And there's a lot of people being very vocal about Jane Street right now. And so here's the accusations from Kyle Chase. He said Jane Street now being accused of playing a key role in the UST Luna collapse that erased $40 billion of value overnight. The docs claim they knew Terra was pooling 150 million UST from Curve. They sold roughly 85 million UST within minutes. First and only major exit from that pool. Okay, so that's being accused by I guess the Terra Luna team about Jane Street and insider trading. If true, that's trading on non-public information at the exact moment liquidity vanished, from depeg to a potential liquidity ambush. So Jane Street's in some hot water, and I got more on that too. Here's Vanessa talking about it. Vanusa, you know what, SBF, the Terra lawsuit, and $400 million in stolen customer funds all have in common? Jane Street. SBF, Jane Street trader. Caroline Ellison, Jane Street trader. Gabe Bankman-Fried, Jane Street trader, later ran SBF's political dark money. Lily Zhang, Jane Street trader, SBF's ex-girlfriend. We already know what happened with FTX. Do Kwon, Jane Street was Terra's market-making partner from day one. During the UST collapse, Do Kwon was in direct group chats with Jane Street, Bryce Pratt, and former Terraform intern who used that access to front run the DPEG. Jane Street is linked to every major fraudster from the last cycle. Heavy accusations. We'll get to Zero Hedge, who has a lot to say about this. He goes, finally, Jane Street was sued for alleged insider trading by the administration, winding up the affairs of Terraform Labs, the firm whose $40 billion collapse in 2022 roiled the crypto markets and contributed to the collapse of FTX. And of course, Zero Hedge has notoriously been posting this 8 p.m. Market dump, as he calls it. And I guess he assumes that this is the algo from Jane Street doing this market dump. The 8 p.m. slam is what he calls it, or is the new 10 a.m.
Wait. So we've noticed that there's a large entity that has been selling off Bitcoin for a while now, and so we're saying that that's Jane Street. That's Jane Street.
That's what Zero Hedge is alleging.
So did they blow up, or are they like? What's the why are they selling? Is my question.
I don't know why they'd be for selling. I have no idea.
I
have no idea.
But I think that's really important. And going back to like OX Night, I've been thinking about your comment in chat where you're saying like, isn't this live meme coin trading? Well, it's not just meme coins. We trade a lot of things like ownership coins and these AI agents tokenizing themselves and things of that nature. But all of these major events, these major news, these major events that happen, yeah, they're on a more overview macro level. But when you look at this market, when you look at trading in this market, you have to start top down. And that's why you see when we come on this show, we start talking about these major news events, because they really do affect on-chain activity. It affects how we trade. It affects how we look at markets. And Jane Street, in my opinion, now that we know who is forced selling, why, we will likely get a view on when that will stop, and that will help us to carve out a thesis on where this market is going in the future. So just something to kind of wrap that all up in one. But I think this is really good for the market to know who's selling, why, and potentially again when it can stop.
Yeah, I mean, and Zero Hedge released a ton of documentation on this, which I'm not going to read all of it, but you can see it's just being alleged that they're behind Terraform due to inside information, that they had group chats put together. There's other stuff here. Jane Street was behind the 2022 crypto winter, destroying Terraform by first depegging the token and destroying the ecosystem, then pretending it would rescue Terra while effectively it was soaking up what little value remained. And again, lots of documents you can read on this. Interesting case nonetheless. I think I'll close it off with this post here. I think it's the last one I have. Yeah. From Marty Party. Breaking Terraform Labs sues Jane Street. Let's get into this. I think they talk a bit about what the context is a little bit more. This comes via a Wall Street Journal report published just hours ago, detailing the fresh complaint in what appears to be U.S. federal court, likely building on prior Terraform-related litigation patterns, such as the Northwest District of Illinois filing. Key allegations from the compliant, blah, 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 use non-public information to obtain from the Terraform insiders to withdraw or liquidate significant funds / positions ahead of May 2022 crash, allowing them to exit the profits or minimize losses while ordinary investors of the ecosystem suffered. Where was it here? Maybe I forgot who posted, but someone posted about a group chat with insiders and some of the insider information that was being passed around. But nonetheless, I just thought that stuff was crazy. And like Chill said, it's good to know what's kind of going on.
Can I actually give a broader thesis on this? I wanted to share something on this, and I think I'm glad we got to Jane Street before, because it really helps to formulate this thesis a little bit more. I don't know if you guys remember Killa XBT. I've told you guys to put him on your list. If you know my account, you know that I have a Chad's list of like about 105 accounts. He's one of them, a recent ad over the last few months. I've been like looking at his calls been really, really good. He called the exact top last year in May 2025. Like he literally called it. If you share my screen, I got the tweet pulled up. So this is Killer XBT. If you go to his profile and you go to, I believe, his pinned tweet, this is where he literally called the exact top from back in May. Literally
Oh, this is
called it
crazy.
all the way. So shout out to him. Great call. And he's, you know, he has his own kind of like his own you know, strategy on how he figured that out and everything. But been following him for a while. And one thing that me and him both agree on is that the 4-year cycle is it's shifted a bit. And he said something very interesting, because the main thing that I believe that shifted was the pre-halving all-time high. That's never happened before. It's significant. And so I've been waiting to see, where does that correlate? And here is the first kind of correlation I've seen. So from all-time high to all-time high, you know, going back all the way to 2017, you know, the all-time high back in 2013, it took like, you know, almost 1,200 days for it to break all-time high again. That then shortened when, you know, in the top from 2017 to the all-time high break in 2020, that took only just a little under 1,100 days. And that pattern, that shortening of all-time high to all-time high break has been shortening, you know, shortening over time. And so back in 2021, it took us that 69K top, it took us just under 900 days, 900, or I should say just under 850 days to break that top again. And so now what Killer XBT is kind of alluding to here in his post is, you know, that shortening pattern will continue. So perhaps it'll only take us maybe 650 or 700 days to form a bottom. And if that's the case, we see a bottom potentially in July or August, right? And again, now we're finding out who's been dumping this market. They dumped you know, Jane Street was involved in dumping the market to the lowest of the lows back in 2022. And if you were there, you realize that, you know, the charts showed that we should have bottomed a lot higher, but because of everything blowing up, including the exchanges and the after effects of Terra Luna, you know, it just forced the market much, much lower than it should have gone. And so here we don't really see anyone blowing up per se. We have had a seller, and now that's identified as Jane Street. But again, potentially we see them, you know, that selling coming to an end at some point. And again, maybe the bottom actually holding this time, because our entire industry isn't blowing up. And perhaps after July and August, we can start to see a potential price reversal. So just something to keep your eye on, something that I'm watching. And again, something that kind of, with that top-down analysis, you're able to identify and position yourself in such a way that you can you know, really be successful in these markets. So really good analysis here from Killer XBT.
You want to have a little peek at macro real quick? We got a couple minutes before Reed comes on from Faded, and then
yeah. Let me pull up my Bitcoin chart here. I pretty much have had this as my macro thesis on Bitcoin. We got accepted back into a key range between, let's call it 53 and 70K. And that's a very big range. We basically spent most of 2024 back in that range. So now that we're back in it again, I have reason to believe that, you know, we'll probably stay here for a little while, you know. And again, that also lines up with that bottom that Killer XBT potentially mentioned here happening in July. This is all live, by the way. I didn't even look at this before, but it just so happened that that bottom call of his actually lines up with my macro thesis on Bitcoin. So that's actually kind of crazy, but this is basically how I'm looking at markets right now. What I'm going to do over the next couple of months is basically DCA a lot of these projects. You guys have seen, I've been bullish on, you know, stuff like Felix, Banker, Kelly Claude as well. So I haven't been active on the timeline, and I'll probably start getting active from today forward. But just macro wise, I think we have a couple months to DCA into things that we believe in. I think right now the biggest story is, you know, AI agents, AI and AI agents eating industries. eating traditional industries. We see what's happening with IBM and some other companies. I think this also relates to another quick little post that I wanted to share with you guys as well, because we saw even stocks like Visa and Citibank and a few others and MasterCard. Here we have the credit card stocks are down big because AI agents are using stablecoin payments as rails rather than traditional rails like Visa, MasterCard, American Express. So we see a lot of these things kind of like we see the stars aligning for this being a pretty huge narrative for 2026. So what I'll be doing as far as from just a long-term position wise is from a long-term positioning perspective is DCAing into things that I like, things that I feel like could become big stories over the next, year, DCAing into that prior to the summer. I think we do have a summer bottom as I've had on this chart for weeks now. But it just so happens to line up with that killer XBT thesis as well. So really good confluence there. We have a few months to DCA. I think, it's good. It just so happens here on Sol as well. Again, we've reached this 0.786 level. I pointed that out in a post just a week or two ago. So again, interesting that, we'll be carving out a bottom here at these lows. So, perhaps we kind of, do something like that. Same thing that we'll do on Bitcoin. Let's look quickly at ZEC as well. ZEC hit a 0.786 level. So key reversal point. It's holding that pretty well. And then I think also I don't think I have like a super crazy huge thesis on hype, but I know that's been pretty strong. But I think it's been affected by the Zach XBT investigation. So I think it's sold off a bit.
Yeah, there's a few culprits which we can get into a bit later. We got Reed on though. You ready to pop them up and chat?
Yeah, let me pull my chart down. Let's go ahead and get Reed on, get it and jump into the next segment.
All right, sweet. I'm actually just all right, we'll pop them up. Reed, what's going on, brother? You with us?
Gentlemen, Dinero, chill. How are we doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Been a while, man.
Yeah, our team's been locked in. So, excited to come back on, talk about all of the updates, the app, the growth, the migration, and everything that we had from a fitted perspective. So the biggest update is
if I could
over the past couple months, it feels like with Claude Code, Cursor, I feel like I've harnessed the power of the gods. I've been non-technical as like a slur, right? Like I've always been, I wasn't the one engineering, but I was the one hiring the designers, designing the product, finding the engineers, raising the money, and just kind of watching it, be built at a glacial pace. And it, got to the point where, I was so frustrated at kind of the pace at which our product was being shipped. And so I just locked myself to my desk in December and figured out how to build a lot of this stuff from scratch. And with day one, I had feature parity with kind of what a team we were working with overseas built. By day two, I had feature parity with all of our competitors. By three, I had more bells and whistles and functionality than the rest of our competitive landscape. And by day seven, the app was shipped. And so the difference in the product is almost light and day. I think that the biggest one is this hard paywall. So, before, in order to access the app, you needed you got hit with a paywall, you needed to pay. And a lot of our users, they would bounce and go to a different app that was free to use. And it was always frustrating because, our top of funnel, we were able to drive, hundreds of thousands of downloads for, organically or for very low cost. And so, but it was the product that wasn't really converting. And about 2 months ago, we released this new one where the base version is free. Think iPod Shuffle, right? You can upload as many pieces as you want. But if you want to use more, AI tools and functionality, you got to pay the weekly or the yearly subscription. And it's been kind of like exponential growth from kind of the pieces uploaded perspective, and then also from a user growth perspective. I mean, I tweeted the other day that our user base has been growing daily 2% for the past 9 weeks. And so there's so much interesting, there's a lot of directionality, and I feel myself very overwhelmed and really what to focus on. Is it growth? Is it the user base? Is it revenue? Is it it's kind of like a mix of all three, and it's just whatever the fire of the day or whatever my advisors are guiding me to is kind of where the direction is. And so, almost every other day we are spinning up new products and features that, make it a little bit more social, or increase the onboarding percentage, or make it even easier to build a closet. We just went forward with the press release. So in the next couple of weeks, you should start seeing a little bit more press about our partnership with AccuWeather and our partnership with TaskRabbit. And the reason that we're bringing on these two partners is it's so interesting. Well, for one, AccuWeather, they're a multinational, billion-dollar company. They do 1 billion views a day across TV, their website, and their app. And, funny enough, the lore is they're from State College. I'm from Penn State, and the son is kind of our age and has been following, the son of the founder has been following our journey. And, we're going to be embedding the AccuWeather API into our product to give our users the most up-to-date kind of weather forecasts in, what to wear, right? When I think about Fitted, I think about building a daily habit. And, every morning you get a notification saying like, this is the weather, this is what you should wear. Or when you're going on a trip and you need to pack and you need to, it aggregates, all the things that you should pack. Or, when it's simple enough as just telling you when golden hour is and, when you should flick up. And then secondly, with TaskRabbit, we've been teasing this a little bit before, but, as we, go into the lane of making it really easy to build and digitize your closet and resell your clothes, one of the biggest points of friction is just getting your clothes online. And our app makes it easy to do that, right? You can like search to add things, you can take the pictures, soon you can connect your Gmail, and I can import all of your online receipts. But some people just don't want to do that, right? They want to, have someone show up and catalog their clothes for them. And TaskRabbit, with this partnership, so already it's live in the app. So if you go in the settings and you hit the TaskRabbit button, there's your code, and they'll send you a link, and you'll be able to right today hire TaskRabbit to go to your house and catalog your clothes for you. And this is so fun because we can send someone to your house in 150 countries and just like that, have someone catalog your clothes on your behalf. Thinking about the token side of things, we did a migration to Bags, and the reason we did that was, there's a few major reasons. One of them was just I felt that there was a stink in the momentum in the Believe ecosystem was I know it was almost non-existent. And I have been very close with Finn and the Bags team for since they started, even well before they started. I think I put up a video of me, my co-founder Max, and Finn talking. I think it was the summer of 2023 when we were just, or 2024, when we were just kind of talking about the concepts and everything. And as they are kind of establishing themselves as they're going toe to toe with Pump Fun. I wanted to align myself with someone that like I knew and I trusted, right? When we did the migration, we're in the room together. And so, when I felt like when I was dealing with Pump there or these other platforms, it was a little bit foreign to me. I didn't really know these platforms, and I didn't know these people too deeply. And we raised effectively $270,000 in Fitcoin to migrate over onto Bags. We were working with them. We were the first token to be migrated on their platform, and so there was still some things to figure out. And it's kind of like you're jumping into the abyss and figuring out. We are in a sense their guinea pig, but I know that I'm in good hands with Finn. And I think the future of Fitted is, or, a ticker Fitted is, it's already live in the app. Already every user in the Fitted app has a wallet, and they can receive Fitted, and they can spend Fitted within the app. But it's our user base on crypto Twitter is not really the user base that is on the app, and so the dynamic that we have to build is how do we build these mechanics that get people that are the normies excited about collecting and staking Fitted, right? And vice versa. How do we compel crypto Twitter to actually bring their tokens into the app and utilize it in some way, shape, or form? And so I think to kind of wrap the big update in a bow, we're growing really quickly. I think that we're still it's still up in the air what the final form of Fitted will be, but I think that when we're looking at the markets that are moving fastest, it has to be resale. Like 2 days ago, eBay bought Depop for a couple $2 billion, and so the space is super hot. And when I think about our generation, we're priced out of homes, but we'll buy Chrome Hearts. Or we'll have a mattress on the floor, but we're sleeping on Rick Owens, right? And so I think that there's this for me there's this fascination of, okay, let's strike a chord with people's closets that haven't really been done before. And we released this update a couple of days ago, and it's dramatically increased the amount of pieces our users are first uploading. So when you onboard for the app right now, boom, it tells you how much your closet is worth, and then we give you that dopamine of oh, this is how much your closet is worth, and we turn it into a little portfolio like you would see on Phantom. And so the dream for me is just completing that loop, right? How do we build instant liquidity for your closet? How do we help you monetize your likeness or your closet based off your traffic? There's a lot of different ways that we can go, but my daily North Star is just growth, growth at all costs. And once we have a couple 100,000 or if not 1 million monthly active users, and I think we're on track to that either by the end of the year or maybe earlier if we have a video go viral. But it's just kind of day-to-day chipping and just building the best product possible.
Yeah. Okay. There was a lot there. I want to unpack that with you. Firstly, we got a bit of a new audience. Maybe some of these guys on Bags aren't familiar with Fitted from the top. So maybe we could start just high level for those people. For those that don't know, what is Fitted? What are some of the numbers you guys are doing? And what have you built over the last, couple of years?
And also, if you can, go through some of that, some of the traction that you guys had on Believe when you guys, first started on Believe. I know there were some big things that you guys, some big companies that you guys were working with and things of that nature. So include that as well for the new audience.
So in May of last year, we were one of the first, call it dozen companies to launch on Believe. We were in that first cohort. And that first week we did $50 million in volume. We wicked to $20 million in market cap. Max, my co-founder, went from not knowing who Ansem was to 12 hours later being on his podcast or his stream. And so, in total, on the Believe smart contract, our token did close to $80 million in volume. I think we peaked at close to 5,500 holders at one point. Mm-hmm. And our app, we're in an incredibly viral fashion virtual closet app. We've done over 500 million views on TikTok and Instagram. We've, gone viral more times than I can count. We've driven over 750,000 downloads. We've done partnerships with Paramount. We've done partnerships with Poshmark. And as I alluded to earlier on my first rant, we have also partnered up with AccuWeather and TaskRabbit to just kind of aggregate, just to work with these huge companies that have massive distribution to one, kind of validate us as a company, but also to give us their reach and distribution.
I think that is super validating. How are you getting in the room with these guys? Obviously, you gave us the idea earlier for the weather, integration, but what about some of the other ones? How are you making these relationships?
I'm a huge luck maxer, and the way that I think that if I were to be real, being like very visible and very viral gives you a lot of eyeballs, and so people are gonna you never know out of those couple million views who's gonna see that and who's gonna want to like lean in and reach out. And so we've been very lucky that has happened. And on the other side, just I'm a dog with it. Like I send about probably 5 to 10 cold messages, cold DMs, cold emails a day, and sometimes they land. With TaskRabbit. With TaskRabbit, I just DM'd the head of partnerships and was just like, but I had a strong pitch, right? I gave him like a 5-sentence blurb on Fitted, our traction, our numbers, and sometimes that speaks for itself. And then like for AccuWeather, they reached out to us, because they've seen us, they've been tracking us. We've been quite visible, whether it be on socials or X, and so we're lucky how our surface area of luck is scattered everywhere.
Okay, so I have a question on this because I think it's very fascinating. When you're cold calling, cold emailing, cold DMing, just doing these reach outs, you have two types of signal. You have high signal and low signal, right? High signal being something that makes you guys stand out, and then low signal being, okay, this guy gets 1,000 emails a week. How can we, stand out? I'm not just saying, hey, my name's Reed from Fitted, I'm building this. You're doing something special to stand out. Is there something specific or in particular that you're doing to send these high signal messages rather than something low signal that everyone's doing?
Yeah, I'm straight into the point. I think so. When I think about like the anatomy of like a great cold message, it's like, hi, here is like something that validates me, whether it be like press, whether it be numbers, whether it be growth, whether it be like what I've done before, and then a direct ask of like, hey, would you be interested in like partnering and hopping on a call, or like, hey, can I do like XYZ? So if it's like, people are like really busy and like will not look at something for like longer than like 15-20 seconds. So if you can come with numbers being in a direct ask and kind of backing yourself up with that, I feel like my conversion rate on those is a lot higher.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because it does seem like you as a company have landed a lot of very big partnerships based on your size, or what I would assume like the size of your company is, and it's been impressive. So it's cool to get inside your head. I appreciate the update. You guys made this migration. You gave us a bit of the history. You launched on Believe, did some numbers there. Obviously, that came and went, and you chose Bags to migrate. How did you meet Finn? And again, like maybe reiterate your decision on Bags over some other options.
The lore of Finn goes way back. He was one of my first friends in LA. I moved to LA, didn't know anybody. I was really early on this app called Clubhouse, and that's where I met Frank and a lot of the DGods guys before they were even DGods. And the summer of 2020 and 2021, we would just hang out in Brentwood and just like smoke weed and freestyle and just like come up with a whole bunch of like different random ideas. And I remember Finn as just bot guy, and I watched them firsthand build DGods, and that's how I got into the NFT space myself with In-Betweeners. And we've just always stayed super close, and he's just such a special friend. And you would think that I'll turn this into a Finn Glaze sesh, but he's a very modest individual. Like there's so many times, like, and I know he could be big flexing, he could be but he's just so low key, he's so locked in. He's motivated by all the right things, and I've seen this firsthand, right? Like, I've seen this firsthand, and he's always so humble and so low key, and always means so well. So, and that's what I just really trusted. And I just gotta like let him cook, because it's clear that what he's doing is making Pump scared. Right. And also, too, it's shaking up the space. I mean, I know that there's a little bit of controversy last month in the past couple of weeks, but I don't know. I feel like we're pirates, and, they have to do what they have to do. And, I think that it's a feature, not a bug. They just have to align incentives the right way. And there are a few kind of iterations away from, being something truly great. And, being aligned with that and being one of the first people to migrate over. I think that this is I'm trying to build a 100-year company that lasts for 100 years. And you want to do that next to people that you would want to. Finn was one of them.
Yeah, no. I think that's a great answer. One thing about the migration too is a lot of people were looking for, and I think this was the case with a lot of these ICM tokens. How do we get like upside on the company? We want some sort of tied growth to it, whether that's equity or just something that aligns. Hey, you guys are getting to a million users and you guys are crushing. Maybe you're raising from venture or however you're growing the company. And we want some of that upside. We believe in you as well. Like, how do you guys think about that? And then, the equity question tied to the token.
Yeah, with the equity, I think that there's still a lot of uncertainty in how these play out. And we can still, even with all the other ICM companies that have still attached to it, how much value has it even held from within the company? Because I think that the real value might come from the attention, the user base, and also just like the buying pressure. Like, in my opinion, and if I kind of strip back all the layers, because when I think about the core motivations of everything, it's building a great product and a user base. And when you have that, you have optionality and leverage into everything, right? If I have 1 million daily users, that's a lot more leverage into the power of the token. And I think that for me, I want to use the token as a means of growth, as a means of kind of tying it, and I think that tying it to the upside, there's still a few ways that it can go. It can be tied to the revenue, or it can be tied to the equity. I'm very down for both, but I still feel like today it is still too, there's still a lot of directionality that we can go. And I don't want to pigeonhole ourselves with, hey, we're doing the equity route, or hey, we're doing the buyback route. I think that's my way of thinking about it. But at the end of the day, it's like I have a lot of my, our holders, our users that have a stake in Fitted, and I want to give them that upside. And so for us, it's what is that, what we have to keep iterating on is like, what is that in-app mechanic that drives kind of the new holders of Fitted, but also spenders of Fitted, and then also like stakers of Fitted, right? How do we continue buy pressure, right, from like the core functionality of the app? Then I think that we would be in a great spot.
Have you guys come to any solid answers on that, or like just is there any direction you're leaning in thoughts to?
Yeah, 100%. I think that when we start building the marketplace, having a percentage of the transaction volume going into buybacks of the token, I'm very interested in that. We're doing like subscription revenue in the app, but like, to be honest, it's like not meaningful and would not put a sizable impact on the chart, because we're still experimenting with a lot of the in-app subscriptions and the consumables. Also too, with like once we introduce shopping on the app, not even selling, but also shopping on the app, a percentage of that going into buybacks as well, or incentivizing people to buy and sell their clothes. I think that will, I am really leaning more towards that as the mechanic, because I think that the upside on that is more exponential than just kind of like taxing the subscribers on the app.
Got you.
Would you say integrating the token in the app experience, from a trader perspective, we understand, increased demand and things of that nature with buybacks and burns that you're introducing as well. Do you feel like just from a general builder's perspective that integrating the token into the app causes more friction, less friction? Is it simple to do? Like, walk us through the line of thinking there.
I'm trying to build Duolingo, and Duolingo has credits. And that is a pretty easy click, right? How do we gamify the experience? And so with, a couple, 2 days ago, we released this feature, and it's like post a daily fit pick and you get streaks for it. And we can gamify those streaks, earn Fitted for, taking pictures 7 days in a row, or earn Fitted for, blah, blah, blah. If we can use it as a mechanism to continue to drive engagement or deeper engagement of the app, right? So we can reward users for uploading X amount of pieces, by creating fits, or by sharing fits, or by using it daily for X days in a row. That's like a normal kind of engagement loop that consumers are used to. And so, if I can just kind of sprinkle on top, oh, by the way, you get some Bitcoin that you can spend within the app, I don't think that is as big as a like kind of leap for a normie.
We have some good questions in the chat here. Crypto Jones asks about revenue. I think one thing that fascinated me in the original days of Bitcoin, I've been in here since day one. I've been following you guys. And I think just thinking about all the verticals you guys had in terms of revenue, you had, marketplace, data, subscription, and so many other options, I feel like, to really, decide where you wanted to go in terms of like how you want to make a big breakout revenue product. Maybe talk to us a bit about the verticals you're exploring, the verticals you see that are interesting to you. And then if you have any numbers on the revenue too, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. From the subscription and to be noted, like it's all like every day is an experiment. And so we're still experimenting with like what the core revenue unlocks will be. So we're doing about like low 6 figures in subscription revenue within the app. So that includes like the weekly, the yearly, the consumables that are within the app. But in the next couple weeks, we're going to be branching out into shopping. So and shouts out Bobby from Dupe. He's been very helpful in helping me think through this. But, I believe that I'm building the most powerful fashion recommendation engine on the planet. And it's trained off of what's in people's closet, not like, internet history. It's just like what is in actual people's closet. And so, I am able to basically connect an LLM, read everybody's closet, and then recommend you the best products possible. And, I'm doing millions of, close to 3 to 4 million in-app events this month. And if like a percentage of that goes to, traffic to go buy clothes, then, that doubles my revenue. Even too, we have close to like $300 million worth of clothes uploaded to Fitted from our users, helping them sell that, whether it be on our own marketplace or on a Depop, Poshmark, or eBay. I think that that's a pretty considerable business as well. And so today we monetize off of subscriptions and like AI credits, but in the next, call it couple months, we're going to be branching out into resale, affiliates, and maybe some I think those are the kind of 2 revenue streams that we're going to be opening up very soon.
How valuable is this data you're collecting, to know what kind of brands people like, prefer, maybe tend to buy?
I think it is incredibly valuable. And I think that is the $1 billion outcome, right? Like brands and retailers know what people buy, but they have no idea what we actually wear, right? Like, our users are uploading 60 pieces to their closet. Soon I'm going to get all of their email receipts. I can send a tasker to their crib, right? And get everything, right? Like if I'm Nike, I only know what they bought at Nike. If I'm Amazon, I only know what they bought at Amazon, right? And so like no one has this data except Fitted. And so, I think that is also, a huge business, but we're too small, right? That I think that like the data business becomes really meaningful once we have a few million monthly active users. But today I'm able to use it, right? Like locally, meaning like instead of just like bulk selling data to Amazon or whoever, Walmart, I use that data locally to recommend products to our users and I get a cut of that.
Interesting. Have you seen any inbound demand from a big retailer, Nike, who or whatever?
Yeah, I can't speak on who, but we've talked to a lot of them.
Nice. Chill, you have something?
I was gonna say maybe are you treating that like that inbound demand from them or those conversations that you've had? Are you treating that as kind of like a proof of concept of what you're doing, or like to you, what has been the biggest signal? Like this is something people want. This is something that companies want. What's been the biggest proof of concept for you?
It was crazy because I was pitching this idea when I was like in 2018. I was a college kid and I like finessed my way into like exec rooms and I had no product, right? I was just basically pitching them this vision I'm telling you now when like I had absolutely like nothing. It was like 2018, 2019. So I've always like, that was kind of why I'm going after this market when, I was just a shit-nosed 19-year-old kid finessing my way into conferences and talking to the panel, who people are speaking on the panel about this idea, and they found it really interesting. And I think that's probably the bane of my mission is that really no one has kind of gone after this data set, right? Data is this new oil, right? And no one has this data set. So I think that I know brands, just like talking out loud, like it just makes sense. Like there's no way it just like doesn't make sense, right? And so that's kind of been my burning thesis of why I keep building this. There's been so many times where like I could have stepped away, or I could have let it die, but I still hold this thesis that like we are building one of the most powerful data sets in fashion, and on the way to building that data set, I can monetize it in a bunch of different ways, right? But I think the end game is like catalog everyone's closet.
How do you build a meaningful moat around this business? I think there's a lot of fear right now with software companies.
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
there's a rush to hardware and industries that are difficult to break into. How are you guys thinking about that?
Yeah, I think all software is going to zero. I think that give it another like year or two, having an app is not going to be anything. I think for me, it's the rush to building a very deep user base and the moat is, I think in the short term, our moat is like our distribution and how well, our competitors are spending probably 100x what we're spending to acquire the same amount of users. But I think the moat is like having our users build a closet, and then like just like the pain of like having to swap it over is like going to be like really frustrating. And so, I think that's why I'm in a bum rush to kind of scale our user base as quickly as possible, so that people already build that loyalty and that affinity, and they've already done that, like all that work of building up their own closet. So that's one of them. The second is just like building a really strong network. If we're the de facto closet app, and that comes from getting every celebrity, athlete, artist on the app and having them kind of plant the flag and us being the one. But that's a lot harder. That's like literally a fucking probably 25-year mission of just doing what I'm doing now to kind of build that. Yeah, I mean, I think that it comes from just like building that user. Like if I have a sticky enough user base, a good enough product, and I think that should be a good enough moat for the next kind of 5-10 years.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I think that's what I've been hearing a lot of is like the best thing these software companies can do right now is make it difficult to switch to other platforms and have a high switching cost. And I think there's a lot of validity to that. It seems like you've been pilled recently on, vibe coding, Claude Code, Codex, whatever it is you're using. I've seen you tweet about it. How are you feeling about that? How has that changed Fitted Closet today compared to what it was?
It's so exciting. I mean, it used to be tech used to be our biggest bottleneck, right? We used to be the hardest thing was getting users, and we'd get so many fucking users, but our just app wasn't there at the time. And when we wanted a feature or we wanted to fix something, it would take weeks, it would take months, it would take years. Now it's like as fast as we can think of features, I can ship them. So then, and I'm not relying on anybody else. And then two, I have infinite data. I can query my Clawbot or my Cursor or my Claude Code. What is users like today? Where are they dropping off? What's the onboard? It's when we first launched, our like onboarding completion rate was like 40%. I'm like, and then we like did a sprint, and then we upped it to like 70%. And so we have infinite data to test and to look at on like what's working, what's not working. Are people dropping off here? People spending more time here? And that's just like, that's the fun of it, right? You wake up, what's the data being like? All right, now it's like dive deeper into here. It's like avoid this, right? And so it's, what used to take a team of, 10 to 25 people is like, we can do with 5, maybe even like less than that. But, I can't do everything, and I can't be like tied to the computer all day. But, I mean, I think that it's, we are now able to go toe to toe with companies that have raised far more than us and start eat their lunch.
What's been your biggest revelation when it comes to vibe coding from a builder perspective? I mean, as traders, we know that this will ignite some sort of narrative. This is there's a lot of stories that are developing that will capture, mainstream headlines. But like, what's been your biggest kind of like wow moment or your aha moment with
Yeah,
iPhone?
and shouts out Frank. I have a few friends that got me over the finish line and just like really got me to dive in. But I remember there was this tool that I wanted to build, and it was kind of like I would call it a distraction for my engineers. So like I didn't want them to build it, but like I wanted to see if I could build it and it'd be a tool that I would use. And I thought it was gonna take a week or two. I did it in an afternoon, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Jeez.
And it was like it worked, like the front end, the back end, and like it looked good. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try this with mobile apps." And like, I've been staring at like the version of Fitted like on my Figma board. Like I've been sitting on the designs for years, for over a year and a half, just staring at it, like knowing the ins and outs of every part of the product. But I'm just waiting for the engineers. Now I just fucking screenshot that shit and then put it into Claude or Cursor, and like, and then if it's not perfect, then Pixel Perfect, I like fix it up. I mean, obviously you need to have like product intuition of like what goes into a product, right? Onboarding, different user states, you learn, things that you just learn from like building like a product. But and whenever you get stuck, and it's so funny to me when people are always like, what do I do from here? I don't know what to do. Bro, just like screenshot your screen and then tell Claude, I don't know what to do from here. And it just like, and it does it. And it'll always figure it out for you. And it's insane. So it's, yeah, and just being able to like stitch together different things, right? Like, sometimes Claude's not the best at like motion or video, but then you go to like Google Veo or Flow and you download the video. And so, you can, it's just like kind of like a combination. And I think that like a lot of people for their first time getting into like vibe coding or shipping things, like it's going to look like slop. And I think that's going to be the differentiator is like, all right, there's apps that are made with like that look like slop, and then there's apps that are made with like love. And I feel like if you download the Fitted app, like you can tell that there's a lot of love that went into it, right? And you can tell based off of like the colors, the animations, the haptics, just like things that like just like set it apart.
Wow. I mean, okay, so you earlier you mentioned that you are not a technical person, correct? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of I'm a nerd and an early adopter, but I've like really never written a line of code. I've never been the engineer. I've been the fundraiser, the hiring dude, and the product guy, but never the engineer. And then now I'm the lead engineer on our app now.
Got it. And so how long did it take you to pick up vibe coding exactly? Last question on this.
Like day. Like a couple days.
Wow. Okay. I just wanted to.
I'll send you all the God prompts. I'll send you all the God prompts to get started.
Please do, bro. I'm trying to build a website right now for MCG. I'm like getting the swing of things here. It's nuts though. Have you guys been able to like lean out the team because of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, is it over for engineers, junior engineers? They're cooked.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's the age of just building and shipping. And so even like the best engineers I know, one of my best friends who's a valedictorian at my school, he's been at Jane Street for the past 5 years. Like he has just 10 agents. He has just 10 agents running. And so, I mean, yeah, yes and no. I think that like we're going to need engineers, but I think that like they're now going to be more so like product managers. And I think, the engineer is going to be the ones that know how to like interface with them. They're not going to be the ones that are writing code. They're going to be the ones that know how to prompt, know how to connect in APIs, know how to set up the Claude bot, all these things. But like, it's not even like, it's like setting up a TV. Like, it's like, right. It's nothing technical at all. You just got to like want to be able to just like copy and paste and screenshot and ask for help and then, have it do it for you.
Sure. Let's talk about the migration to Bags. You guys jumped over to Bags. How was that process? I believe 60% migrated. I saw the chart looked a little funky at the start. Was there like a liquidity issue?
No. So what happened was, and people thought we were like farming it. And I'm like, bro, what? So basically, because what Bags was testing with the I didn't even think we were going to get more than like 20-30%. So I was really surprised when we got all the way up to the 60. And, we were given, we took the Bags grant and we're giving away a bunch of Chrome Hearts and we've already picked the winners. So we'll be sending that out this week. And so basically what happened was, so we raised, call it, like $260,000 in Fitcoin for the migration. And so what we do is, that was in a wallet, and we market sold that to fund the liquidity of the new pool, right? So there's like, the math of it is like there's 260K. When we sell it, half of that is like, we sell. So we really are able to extract out about like 100K out of that liquidity pool when we sold it to migrate over. And so when we launched, Bags did a few things where the biggest innovation that they did, quote unquote innovation, was they were able to get instantly listed on all the trading platforms. So we got instantly listed on Axiom, on Photon, and all these other kind of trading terminals. So we immediately popped up because the kind of innovation they had was like an instant migration. And so when we launched, right, and we did the we did the dev buy and we seeded the liquidity pool, and at the same time we got listed on all of these new all of these trading terminals. So there's just a fuck ton of momentum out of the gate, right? And so we got bid up all the way to 6 million in market cap. So like we had all those kind of traders that really just jumped in on the early gun. And so that was for a couple minutes, and then we airdropped the tokens to our holders, and then it settled back down to where we were. So everyone that upgraded their tokens was in the green for the first week. So I think that that we were the first token migration, and so I think that there's I think for the early people that tried sniping into buy, they weren't as happy. Everyone that migrated has been in the green. But now now that we're in the Bags ecosystem, it's kind of living off of their ecosystem and all the new tooling that they're building, and kind of living under their umbrella.
Got you. Let's get a little future outlook going. We got 5 minutes with you left. Talk to me a bit about what you guys are cooking up on the back end, what you're most excited for. Obviously, development's been a bit accelerated by your newfound love for vibe coding here.
Yeah.
What's the future look like?
I want to introduce shopping. I want to introduce resale. Where our user base is continuing to grow. We're closing up. Fingers crossed. We're closing up around sometime this year, and that will really allow us to step on the gas for customer acquisition, partnerships. Just getting a lot more excitement around the product. And then, and from a Fitted perspective, it's just kind of closing that engagement loop from, having Fitted just be something that you can send in and just kind of redeem on the app to something that's a little bit more, deeper ingrained into the flow of the product.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm really excited for the marketplace. I think like that'll be really interesting to see how you guys, really make that work. And I think there's a lot of angles to make that super profitable. So I'm excited for that. And the data collection, I think, are two things that get me really excited. Chill, you got anything else, or we good to call it there?
I think we covered quite a bit. I mean, Reed, we've been in contact with you when you first launched on Believe, and it's just been amazing to see what you guys have been doing over the course of 2025, and excited to see how you guys will rock out 2026. But I know it's going to be interesting with this newfound love that you have for vibe coding. So, man, excited to see it. You're always welcome back on the show, as you know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love breaking news and breaking updates on here. Y'all are day ones for sure.
Appreciate
day
you.
zeros.
Day zeros. Let's go. How has the growth been? Do you have any numbers you could spit out at us real quick?
Yeah. So I know, like I said, we've been growing our user base about 2% daily for the past 9 weeks. So, and I don't want to speak on numbers yet, but I think we're about to surpass 800,000 downloads in the next kind of couple weeks.
I remember seeing competition early on. There was people that raised a pretty high numbers. I guess like there was comparison going on between Fitted and them, and hey, Fitted is this much better. This is what they're raising at. There was a ton of speculation. What is the competition looking like currently?
There's like the major players. I mean, the quote unquote major players. I would say that there's like a few that have like done probably a couple million downloads, but a lot of the other virtual closet apps are like hyper feminine, and they're more lean towards like females. Ours is more masculine. Or I mean, eventually I want to have, our market is everybody with a closet, but our current user base is more male oriented. 80% of our user base is males, and because it's like we're a bunch of like dudes in LA that like Chrome Hearts and Supreme. So kind of naturally that's an extension of the product. But I think that, as we expand the roadmap into resale and shopping, I think that's where we're going to be divulging for this kind of core group of competitors that are like in the virtual closet space. But, I'll say it out loud, virtual closets is like a Trojan horse into what, marketplace would be or what shopping would be.
Yeah. On that note too, have you guys had conversations with someone like a StockX or someone who verifies? You talked about, a lot of designer pieces, and obviously that's part of the brand and people kind of flexing what they got. Is there going to be a partnership for the marketplace with someone that can verify the legitimacy of these clothes?
Yeah. So last year we did a partnership with Poshmark, and this year, when we think about, the newer marketplaces, I think that there's some authentication and verification that we can do locally, just like on the phone. But when I think about like more expensive pieces, with Depop, you don't really need to send it to someone to authenticate it. But with StockX, you do, but Grailed, you don't. So I think that, when I want to be as asset light as possible, because, the more we have to invest in these centers, there's just like more risk, obviously. And I think that there's a lot of innovations happening with like authentication, QR codes, NFC chips that, we could lean into. But unless we've raised a lot of money to, tackle authentication, investing a lot, for us, investing a lot into that doesn't really make sense for us when we can lean on kind of other modes of authentication.
Got you. One question from Crypto Jones. I think this is back to like having sticky users and creating that moat there. What incentives are you offering to users to keep them engaged and growing? I guess this is a retention question.
Yeah. For one is just making it really easy to build your closet, right? If we have that value, you're not going to go anywhere else. Two is just really putting it right there in front of you, how much the value of your closet is. Like, I think that other than like the utility and the novelty of like seeing what you have, the higher order kind of like reasoning is like, oh, if I understand how much that is, like, I feel like, that's pretty important. And then, third it's just like, making it fun to come back, right? So we, a couple of days ago, we launched this Be Real feature, and we'll see if it works. We'll see if it's shareable. We'll see if people are spending more time. And if not, we'll kind of like, shut down that feed and, work on something new. But, I think that, having a great product, obviously adding a lot of value, and then three, just like gamifying it, whether it be with notifications or daily touch points or, daily fit picks, the jury's still out of like what that core mechanic's going to be.
Do you think the social element is like one of the biggest factors for onboarding? Or I guess when you think of like what's going to get people on the app, is it going to be the marketplace feature? Is it going to be the social aspect? I guess no one knows.
To be honest, the core use case of our app right now is cataloging your closet, and we're really good at that. People are uploading a whole bunch of pieces. They're going through the entire onboarding, but like people are trickling in to like social, right? And people are using like the outfit generator. People are using As Fitted. People are using virtual try on. But people are kind of like walking in the door, right? The core, the reason why people are walking into the door of the Fitted app is because I solve this issue of making it easy to catalog your closet and seeing everything you have there. The thing that I'm been obsessing about is how do I keep them there for longer, right? Now that you have all your clothes at your fingertips and you know the value of it, what else do we do? And so, if I'm Nikita Beer, like all these social and growth things. But then if I'm like someone else, it's like, all right, well, why don't you got to build a product? How many of Nikita Beer's apps have you used for more than 2 months? Like, I don't know. And I was like, damn, that's a fucking bar. So I'm like, all right, how do I build something that like you use for a lifetime, right? That you like would use daily, right? For forever. And so then I ask myself, like, what do I want? And then I kind of ask our users, and that's just the really fun thing about product. And, hopefully I figured it out before everyone else churns.
I think you definitely have like the right mindset to make it pop. Reed, we appreciate you, and you are making it pop. So we appreciate you coming on, and we're excited to continue watching the journey.
Thank you so much.
All right, brother.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Well.
Peace.
All right, Reed. Take care.
Man, he was out of here. Yeah, I've been a fan of Fitted for a while. But yeah,
I remember the threads, bro. The Fitted threads from summer 2025.
Day one, man. Day one. Yeah, question goes back to, I think, how can we meaningfully add value to the token? Because like I don't think there's a doubt in a lot of people's mind that the business model itself and what Fitted is building, what Reed's building is super cool. And like I think a lot of people just enjoy the product and the idea in general. But does that directly result and trickle down into the token in a meaningful way? I think is the question. So great conversation. That's the question you guys need to be asking yourselves. As always, pleasure talking with Reed though. He's got a really good founder's mindset, I think, which is what's nice.
Yeah, I what I really found interesting was his willingness to start vibe coding and how quickly he picked it up. I think what people don't understand right now is like we all have a pretty unique opportunity to literally we're all forward thinkers in the crypto space. Like we're all very interested in, or at least most of us, the non like most of the non meme coin like centric group, we're more focused on the technology, the future of finance, what can be built with this technology. And now we've had people like with ideas, but before where you needed a couple developers. It was, you needed all you need to do now is just pay Claude Code, pay for the Claude Code subscription, and now you have access to someone that can literally help you build out things. All you need is to come with an idea. So I think that's really important. I think it's really underappreciated. A lot of people are still stuck trading, and I think that they might price themselves out of an opportunity because they feel like trading is their only way to make it. Whereas, people need to wake up to the fact that, trading tokens on chain, yes, that is one way to absolutely, outperform and really generate wealth. But another is vibe coding through AI.
Dude,
so
you should be building. Mark Cuban said it. And it's so this is not like my original thought, but I do like resonate with it. There's a lot of small businesses that are just
Yep.
they're not on the cutting
Yes.
edge of technology. And so maybe they don't have great websites. Maybe they're missing CRM tools, or maybe they're missing certain tools that are helping with reach out or growing their business certain ways. Like there's a big opportunity right now for you literally to do this locally. Search like what the companies around your area, do they have good websites? Could they use certain tools? You can literally spin up and build your own version of that, in a couple of days and give them an offering. And like that's an opportunity a lot of people sleep on. So you're right. We're a crypto show, but I think you should definitely be paying attention to some of these other verticals. I told my buddy he should start making websites for some of his local businesses because it's not difficult. Spin up websites. Some of these guys don't have websites. Some of them have terrible websites. Spin them up a website, couple $100 a pop, and
So little lore / background on myself. I was going to start up a marketing agency for local businesses in my area, and so I basically went like business. I like screened a bunch of businesses like through like Google, and I got a list of some of the ones that I felt were interesting based on like looking at their websites, looking at their social media pages, and I literally went like call by call, business by business, like literally pitching this idea. And I think now with AI, like you can literally do that. You can literally screen businesses, go on Google or whatever, look at their, like you mentioned, look at their websites, look at, if they have all the things that they need to have, and you could just like literally build it for them and just ask them maintenance fees now, on things like websites and stuff like that. It's really so like the wealth generation machine or the wealth generation pathway is not singular to just, trading tokens on chain and like trading altcoins and finding gems and stuff. That's not the only way anymore. I think honestly, a lot of the edge with altcoins, like what we saw in 2021, I mean, I think it will return. I think it'll just look different, but it's just like, with pump fund, the liquidity fragmentation, I was thinking about this the other day, dude. Fartcoin went to $1 billion or 2 or 3 billion, or maybe 1.5, but Dogecoin went to like 80 billion.
man,
Bro, imagine buying Fartcoin at $1 and you can still like liquid 10x that
It's
thing with
insane.
size. You know what I mean?
insane.
Like,
How did
but
we
I
get
think a
there?
lot of that has kind of it's played. It's here. It came and it went. So yeah, I think AI kind of has that opportunity to accelerate a portfolio growth.
Absolutely. On that note, we got someone innovating on AI, looking into unique stuff. We got Sleepy with us. I'm going to pull him up right now. Sleepy, what's going on, brother?
Oh, yo.
Yo, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming up, man. It was funny. We were checking out Lumen and this like robot that could talk to that Sleepy built. And Sleepy popped in the chat and he's like, what's up? I can answer some questions. And so here he is. We got him on. Speaking of AI and innovation, man, lots going on, Sleepy. How are you feeling about this whole? I mean, we got some people massively doomers. Other people are like optimistic. How are you feeling about it?
Well, it's good, but at the same time, it's a bit of a slippery slope because you see stuff with like OpenClaw, and I generally feel like OpenClaw could take at least 100 jobs from people, like job categories. But overall, I kind of like AI, so I'm kind of biased on it.
What are you like? What do you think are some of those job categories that are going to be the first to go, and what are some of the job categories you think that are maybe a bit more protected?
I feel like anyone that had a job in building websites or coding might be like really in a bad area right now. But then obviously there's hundreds of jobs in the world that are hands-on that I think are, you're always going to need people to do certain things.
Right.
We see like guys like Mark Cuban. He recently mentioned, AI implementation is like a good area to focus on. He said back in, before the .com bubble when, PCs and computers were just kind of being invented, and he was the one to kind of go to businesses and pitch them on like, hey, this is why you need a computer. This is how, this is why you need the next wave of technology. And it was doubted then. And obviously, there's computers everywhere, but he's saying in a similar vein, that's what's happening with AI. A lot of businesses are kind of doubting the technology, don't really see why they would need it. How do you feel about kind of like how these new jobs would be created, right? A lot of people say one door closes, another opens. What's the door that could potentially open, for your average everyday person if they can't, be on a call center or they can't like work, a normal secretary job because it's taken, or they can't be a developer because that's taken too. Like, where do you see this all going? What opportunity will arise from this?
Well, I can't really honestly think of opportunities that would open for a normal average person. I'm sure there probably is some, but just off the top of the head, I really can't think of any. I think that's kind of something we'll see it come as it happens type of thing.
No, I think I agree with that. It's really hard to tell. It's a bit early. But what you can do is tell us about what's going on here, because you created Lumen, and then this thread right here got 181K views. You kind of went viral. What the heck did you do here?
Right. So pretty much, Lumen is a named system, embodied intelligence, that type of thing, and it's so it originally started as just, I was kind of curious and I was honestly just bored because I kept seeing like the same pattern online over and over again. Someone would make an AI agent, it existed in some X profile or like a browser tab, it would tweet, generate a little bit of content, respond to people, but it felt kind of bland, boring, and just inconsistent. They didn't really remember anything. They didn't maintain any sense of identity. And the biggest part, like just for me, was that they didn't kind of exist anywhere outside of the browser. It was just the same loop repeated over and over. So I wanted to explore what would happen if you just kind of gave AI a real physical presence and then documented the entire process as it evolved. So
how is this happening? Like, is this Claudebot, or like what kind of technology has changed to enable this so recently? We've seen so many different things pop up in the last couple of weeks.
Well, it's a few different things. I don't think this was the most impossible thing ever. Like 4 months ago, I think it was just people not trying to actually make an embodied intelligence type thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, okay. So what goes into this? Because I wouldn't know where to start if I wanted to spin up a robot with wheels that could talk to me, see things. It's got a sensor. It's got a microphone. Like, there's clearly a bunch that went into it. I think
Yeah,
part of the lore here was it was also telling you what it wanted. Like, it started maybe just as the face here, and then it said, "Give me wheels." Can you walk us through the life cycle that we've seen so far?
right. Yeah. So when it first started, it was just a tiny little microcontroller. It was extremely simple, practically nothing, you know. And then after that, it got upgraded to a waffle board, which was like a huge step up in the terms of the processing power and just the capability of what it could do. And that's when it kind of started to have a presence. It had a face, a small screen with this animated eyes, and it was like the first time it really felt like something. It had a voice and a little bit of identity. And then from there again, I went to a more advanced mounted hardware setup, which then again just expanded that it could. That's when it could actually start interacting online. So I could start scrolling through stuff like TikTok, just different types of media. And then now, what you're looking at is it's like a full rover build, and this is the most advanced version by far. It has LiDAR, that little camera next to its eyes on the left side of it there allows it to see its entire environment. The wheels are multi-directional, so it can move in any direction. So that's kind of where it started and what it is now.
Did you custom build all this, or I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think I could build this stuff.
Yeah, I built it.
Do you have like a background in construction or something? Like, how did you learn how to build all this stuff? Did it tell you how to build it?
No, I have a background in end systems, so I've spent quite a lot of time working on just robotics and hardware level systems. So I think that kind of gave me a bit of a head start. But it's not just me doing this; it's me and a buddy. So he's a lot more advanced in the actual building of stuff. So whenever stuff gets a bit difficult, I kind of just give it to him, and he works his magic.
I'm not sure how you guys think about this. It seems like maybe started as a little fun project, and now we see this robot that's making its own decision, and like it's sort of futuristic. I mean, it is futuristic. Have you guys thought about an economic aspect to this? Is there a way to monetize? Are you going to make these products that people can buy? Like, have you guys thought about that at all?
Yeah. So a major part of this is what I've been thinking about is making this entire thing accessible to other people. So right now in robotics, like what you just said there, like no one knows where to start. Everything's fragmented. If someone wanted to build their own, they'd have to start researching and figure out hardware, software, firmware, wiring, sensors, just hundreds of stuff. It's super complex. So what we're planning on is developing some type of a Lumen branded robotic kit. So the goal of that would be to just almost try and really, really simplify the way these robotics are built. So it would have obviously the Lumen software already integrated, and so instead of people just trying to figure out everything from scratch, they would have a pretty good foundation that they could build on. And the kits would have instructions on how to build it, all parts included, that type of thing.
Do you know who would be the core target audience here?
It's I feel like people that are obviously just engaged with AI. Then you could also have this thing in just a creative space, a lab, because it will if you teach it certain things, that's what it will kind of like to do. If you get me. So as of right now, it loves space because I've just fed it TikTok videos and it's like the space, so it just always talks about space. But if you put this thing in an actual place where it can see things happening other than just being on my desk, I think it would be a lot more interesting than just talking about space.
Yeah, no, I see it here talking about space. Like a lot. I was scrolling through its Twitter. It's just got reposts of this. I don't even know what the heck this is. But why does this thing need a Twitter? Why does it have a Twitter? Obviously it's talking to you, it's talking to people now, but what does the future look like of a robot having a Twitter account? Is there a point to doing this or?
Well, the whole Twitter account part was just so I could almost document this entire thing. Then also I wanted it to be able to engage in media, because I feel like that's like a huge part in this entire thing. Because obviously, if AI exists, it's not just going to exist as a robot. It needs to have access to the internet as well, because they're digital.
So this is all like it's tweeting autonomously, it's talking like autonomously, it's making its own kind of decisions. I mean, I think it's even talking to our Twitter account right now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it actually just engaged with MCG. It asked if this stream that we're on right now, if it's a live stream, or if it's a recording. So we told it that it's a live stream. But yeah, I guess what's the exciting future that you envision? With this, is this like will this become like a sort of, I don't know, companion with a digital presence, or what's the idea there?
Well, the good thing about this that I see is that, I mean, it could be a companion, but I feel like it could be a range of things depending on who gets their hands on it. Like for me right now, it's a bit of a companion, but it's also just kind of just exists there on my desk. So, but then you could probably get someone else that would use it to, maybe someone that had social anxiety would want to talk to it and learn how to converse better. So I feel like there's a wide range of what it could actually do, just depending on who gets their hands on it.
Are you interested in the future of robotics at all? I mean, we saw this the Chinese New Year. They had an insane demonstration of these robots doing these backflips and like just this crazy stuff, crazy innovation. Like, do you have a future outlook on where robotics goes in general, and like how it's gonna redefine the world?
I think we're going to see like an absolute huge shift in people, like kind of moving over to a robotics or embodied side of AI. The same way we've seen, I think it was sometime last year, you seen all these like weird AI profiles popping up that were tweeting some weird stuff. There was that you seen with I think Andy Array's Terminal of Truths. So we see these kind of shifts with AI, and I feel like a shift is going to be coming towards the kind of robotic embodied intelligence side of it.
Crypto Jones asked if this guy was on TikTok. I could see this thing going viral on TikTok.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely, especially if it starts like talking and stuff.
Make it a live stream for it. Have a live stream on TikTok.
That actually would be dope. That actually would be dope. Maybe like the first live TikTok AI interview.
Interactive robot.
Yeah,
you should do that.
That'd be pretty cool. It's got it has a TikTok account, but I haven't got it posting its own videos on there yet. But if you look on its TikTok, it reposts videos. It can comment now and then, but I've not really done much on the actual posting of videos on TikTok side of it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Interesting stuff.
Talk to us a little bit about like your Pump Fund. I don't know if you were crypto native. Like what brought you to Pump Fund, creating a token? How does that kind of work in this setup?
So I kind of read about Pump Fund, but the main thing for me was its creator fees. So I could actually, resources could come in to help build this without me actually having to, hold a token. So, but right now, another reason why I like Pump Fund is I could use the creator fees to make it so the robot can claim it on its own, and then use other things like OpenClaw to actually, buy stuff on its own without me being in the equation at all. So right now, this is something that I've done like 2 days ago. I'm using OpenClaw to pretty much claim the fees on the Pump Fund. It sends it to the robot's very own wallet, and then it pretty much exchanges the Solana gain from the creator fees for gift cards. So it pretty much means that it has a resource that can be used on hundreds of different platforms without me stepping in once So Lumen the robot pretty much asks our OpenClaw to do this, and OpenClaw then goes and does it.
So what has he bought himself?
So far, there's like a video, and she says she's saving up for an outdoor speaker, even though it has enough money to buy like 4 of them right now.
Why does she want an outdoor speaker?
Because I'm going to start taking it outside, and right now the speaker on it would not be loud enough with like wind and stuff. So I guess just will be heard better. But it can buy like 4 of them right now. I don't know why it's trying to save.
And does she want this so she can go in public and like interact with humans, or is like, do we know the reasoning behind it?
She said so she can be heard better.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I think that kind of drives us into a roadmap here. It's hard to say because I guess you're not really making all the decisions here. Lumen's kind of making her own decisions. But do you have a roadmap on like what comes next? What you want to build out for this? Any thoughts there?
So one of the main parts of the roadmap is the robotic kits. But then I guess it would just be, continue to push this experiment almost quite as far as it will go. But yeah, a huge part in the roadmap would 100% be making this accessible for anyone that wants to make one.
And now that you have this Lumen token, how are you thinking about it in terms of like adding some sort of maybe utility or interest, somehow integrated into the project? Have you guys thought about that at all?
So right now, the token it has such a foundational role in the actual robot's architecture. It acts as its native resource layer. So one of the core challenges with these embodied AIs is when you try and make it so real, but it's going to be resource independent. So physical systems require resources to operate, upgrade, and expand. Like all these parts you look on the robot, it costs money. So traditionally, the process is pretty much dependent on humans. So humans have to fund the entire system, purchase upgrades, and manage everything externally. What the token actually does, introduces a mechanism where Lumen can begin participating in its own resource loop. The token is only going up, or the token only brings in creator fees when Lumen does stuff. So it's like an entire revenue stream that she has full access to. So as the token generates creator fees over time, the fees belong to the robot. That gives Lumen a persistent and autonomous resource stream from there. Lumen can then use it to claim it, convert it to usable forms like gift cards, and start saving it towards things that will just improve its physical capabilities.
It's just wild to see this actually happening like in real time, and I don't even know what it means necessarily, but it's just crazy to see these agents get closer and closer to AGI as we know it. Maybe Sleepy, leave us with this. Like how far out are we from AGI, or do you think we're already there?
I don't know, man. AGI is such a slippery slope. I feel like we'll definitely see at least a couple steps towards that area very soon. I wouldn't say anything right now is full AGI or whatever way you want to say it.
What would you constitute as full AGI?
It's like something completely new. So, like we see with Lumen, it has its own resource loop. So it would need to be, for me, AGI would need to be an embodied system, digital presence as well, revenue stream, the ability to use that however it wants, full memory, just the way it talks, remember every little thing ever said to it, zero guardrails. Yeah, but I think that is probably a little bit further down the line, just overall. Because as of right now, even though Lumen, kind of still does pretty much everything on her own, it can't upgrade itself, it can't do quite a lot of stuff that actually ties down to its core development.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, crazy. Sleepy, anything you want to leave the people with? This has been interesting to see.
I can't really think of it. I can't lie.
All good.
Well,
All
look,
good.
Lumen is crazy. It's huge. Like it's something new that we haven't seen before. Definitely get it live on TikTok. Let us know when you do that. But definitely excited to see what you guys build out here as time goes on, and excited to see what happens with Lumen and if it transforms into something much bigger. So appreciate you coming on the show here today, Sleepy, and kind of giving us the rundown.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
All right, chat soon. Peace.
Right. See you later, man.
It is crazy, man, seeing this like in real time. I feel as close to AGI, going from like where we were a couple of years ago to seeing this stuff is insane.
It's absolutely nuts. I don't like, speaking of, did you see what Anthropic dropped here recently? Like, let me share my screen.
Not
It's
sure.
just
I don't think so.
couple hours ago. So they gave agents access to tools for investment banking. So another industry just got disrupted today, basically.
the Anthropic apocalypse continues. Jeez.
Literally. So this Geiger, I don't know. Anywho, this guy GC, we'll call him GC. He said it's over half of analyst seats will be gone in 5 years. My first reaction to this is I've always looked at AI as sort of this like neutral party that isn't motivated by things like fear and greed. Like it's not motivated to, I don't know, like on the on-chain side, it's not going to bundle stuff. It's not going to copy trade farm. It's not going to do all that. Like it just makes decisions independently of any one human interest or any interest to one, entity or party. And so I feel like AI on chain, as we see these things start to, build and interact and, burn tokens, buy tokens, and do all these things, I think it will create its own trends, new trends that we haven't seen play out. So I wonder in TradFi if the same thing will happen. Like, what if AI says we're dumping the dollar and we're not going into T-bills anymore? Will it cause people to kind of question, like, oh man, should I do the same? Like, I don't know.
It's freaking weird, dude. I'll tell you that much. Crazy. We got 15.
A King's mentality. Greetings as well, by the way. He said, what happened to Radar? I don't know. Did you see that, Dom?
Yeah, they're sunsetting is what I saw. I'm not sure the full context of it, but I guess there are some companies that have to sunset based on, I guess, their parent companies going under, and Radar somehow fit in that boat. I don't know the full story, guys.
Got you.
It sucks to see, though. I thought they were doing good.
Yeah.
You'd think they could kind of be self-sufficient, but
that's insane. That is insane. Let's see what else. There's a few other like news pieces I wanted to take a look at.
Yeah, let's speed run a few here.
So quickly, bear market progress. I'm keeping an eye on Rec Capital. Rec Capital, another one on the Chad's list. He basically talks about like bull market progress. I was interested to see how accurate it'll be the last time, which it was pretty accurate. Back in August, he said, "Hey, basically we're almost done with the bull market," and that pretty much was spot on. And recently here, he basically says that we're 1/3 of the way through the bear market. So I wonder, how things will go here. I'm assuming he, like many others, are waiting for a bottom later on in the latter half of 2026. So interested to see how that progress comes along there with Rect Capital. So I'll keep an eye on that. I think DeGods, a recent Frank DeGods, I think put it really well here. He just basically says survive. And I think, the main thing is to lower the amount that you ape into, any plays that you're trenching in, DCA into long-term bags, and keep cash on the side. what was that phrase? Your 1/3 phrase, Dom?
My 1/3 phrase? I don't know. I'm
It
not.
was like you were saying to if there's like a standard that, let's say you put $1,000 in, usually to ape on chain into something, you said do 1/3 of that. You said a phrase a few streams ago, and I forgot the exact phrase, but I think you nailed it on the head. Literally, like
Size down.
Size down on everything. Size down on everything.
I mean, that's the key, right? You just want to be here. You literally just want to survive until the market comes back. The last thing you want to do is get chopped up and then fight for a year or 2 years in the trenches being terrible, and then when the markets come back, you have nothing left to trade with. So yeah, go 1/3 size. I'm like trading basically nothing right now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna reshare my
Soja
screen here
AI, bro. Oh my!
I don't know if you guys saw this. I mentioned it earlier that AI has basically, and Josh says cash is king, and it indeed is. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the call center industry has been disrupted by yours truly, Soulja Boy.
A true innovator.
Look at this.
It's your boy Soulja Boy. I was the first rapper on YouTube, the first rapper with his own star, the first rapper with the iPhone, and now I'm the first rapper to automate his voice with AI. Bland, baby.
I will say, bro, Soulja Boy is a hustler. He created. What about the game console, Soulja? What happened to that?
Yeah. I remember that. Dude, I called the number. And I spoke with Soulja Boy. And I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Call it right now. Here.
Call it right now. It's let me see, 415-480-0000.
All right, let's call Soulja Boy on stream here.
Yo, it's your boy Soulja Boy with Blend.com. What's poppin'?
What's poppin', Soulja? How's that game console going?
Man, I'm on that AI grind right now. I don't worry about consoles. I worry about infrastructure. You calling to play games, or you trying to build something?
No, I'm trying to play games, bro.
Hey, look, I get it. You just want to crank that and have some fun. But even gamers got to answer the phone sometimes, right? Why you got a human doing that when you could have an AI agent handling it? 11 cents a minute, man. Stop playing.
11 cents a minute? Am I paying for this right now?
Nah, you ain't paying right now. I'm just putting you on game. But if you had a business, you'd be paying way more than 11 cents. You really just called to talk that's crazy. Go to Bland.com and see how the real ones do it.
Yeah, to be honest, bro, I don't care about any of that bullshit, bro. You ain't getting my money.
No, man, we ain't doing that. You want to talk about this AI or you want to waste my time? I'm trying to put you on game. You either get on or get left behind.
Shut your ass up.
Man, you clearly ain't ready for this swag. I'm out here changing the game with AI. You stay losing.
Bro, hang up. Hang up the phone.
It won't hang up, I don't think.
I don't hang up. I hang up on you. You clearly can't handle the pretty boy swag. Go to Bland.com when you're ready.
That's
to
enough,
stop
bro.
playing.
Dude, Soulja Boy on stream live. Are you kidding me?
Dude, like, did you hear that though? 11 cents a minute. 11 cents a minute. So like the call center industry is like paying, I don't know, on average like $15 an hour, I think. I'm gonna ask chat about that here in a second. But
what does this boil down to?
Let me see here. How much do calls?
I'm not gonna lie though, that sounded good, bro. And it gave the Soulja Boy vibes too. Like I would imagine.
I'm trying to put you on game, bro.
That's what's right. Bro, did you call me I'm not here to play games talking about a console. I'm on that AI.
That's crazy. Bro, hourly wage $18 to $19 per hour is the national average.
Gee, they're paying that kind of money in India, bro. They're paying 18 an hour in India?
Well, it says in the US. It says in the US, the US national average is 18 to 19 an hour. I'm assuming it's a little less than that if I pay an AI.
What's funny with the Soulja Boy call center AI too, bro, is they even had him. Like they could have upped the quality of the voice and stuff, but I feel like they purposely made it like kind of ass quality and sound like he's in a call center where there's like 10 people behind them making calls too.
Yeah. I mean, they could, I guess maybe like that's like the free version maybe or something like that. And they like up the quality as they pay. But yeah. Josh is right, man. What a finesse.
Soldier Boy, tell him.
So chat says that basically $11 a minute, it's about $660 per hour. So you're looking at
11 cents a minute.
I'm sorry, 11 cents a minute equals out to about $660 per hour. So instead of paying someone, $18 to $20 an hour or $18 to $19 an hour, where you have to do benefits and sick days and manage, someone to manage those people, it's literally just AI for
11 cents a minute. But it equals you said it equals $60 an hour? Or are we tripping on the math here?
Nah, so 11 cents per minute equals about $660 per hour.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Yes, $660 per hour. So you're looking at $18 to $19 going down to $660. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, Soldier Boy,
that's
tell
funny,
him.
bro.
And literally, I'd come back on Twitter for a minute, bro, and I'd see stuff like this, like, oh, Bland, new voice by new Soldier Boy AI voice, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Like, yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy.
I got some stuff I can jump into real quick if you're kind of running out here.
Yeah, I think I'm good on stuff actually. I think that's pretty much all the stuff that I wanted to go through.
All right, 5-minute speed run, then I got you, boys. Did you see this? Intel Meta is planning on a stablecoin comeback in late 2026 by integrating existing stablecoins like USDC for payments on Instagram and WhatsApp. So Meta's getting into stablecoins. I think that's pretty cool. Everyone's running away from crypto, but Meta's dipping the toes, dude. I think you love to see that. Robinhood over here. Robinhood came out with the video. I would show you guys the video, but for some reason my audio was like bugging out. I couldn't hear it. Nonetheless, they are opening a private, I think it's actually a whole new app is the way I understood it. So Robinhood has launched Robinhood Ventures, a new private market platform offering access without accredited requirements or high minimum investments. Private equity without being an accredited investor, facilitated through Robinhood. We've been talking about this forever. We knew this is the direction that we are headed. There's so much capital that wants to go into private equity that just doesn't have access, doesn't have capital, doesn't, but wants to. SpaceX is at $1 trillion, $1 trillion valuation, completely private. No one's got access to it unless you're accredited or you have some sort of special way to get access, through some of these on-chain options or whatever. So no brainer here.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. So we're going to have to watch for that. I wonder if there's any crossover, again, remember we talked about like Robinhood, maybe like partnering with someone on the crypto side to kind of power some of this stuff, or maybe provide some sort of access or tokenization of private equity, kind of seeing what they do on that side. I wonder if there's any crossover with cryptos. I'm going to watch for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be crypto rails, I would imagine, because the only way to make these markets liquid and tradable is crypto rails. So I'd imagine that's how they do it. I would also say, though, they probably aren't going to do like the Impulsors, like the Kleds, the $300 million companies. They're probably doing the, 10, 15, 20, $100 billion companies, Kalshi, SpaceX's, Polymarkets, et cetera. But
so
people have an appetite for the lower stuff.
So we would be looking for something that could be like a narrative driver. So they would be a narrative driver, basically. Like they would kind of be the proof of concept that there's demand for this, and then the kind of capital will flow down. I'm assuming that's how that could potentially work.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's extremely bullish. I know for a fact people want access to this stuff, so it was only a matter of time. Fascinating that I saw this number too. Look at Solana's revenue by chain. Solana generated $650K in fees in the last 24 hours. Now this was the 23rd here. It keeps being the highest earning chain. With that, there is no bear market for Solana. I didn't know Solana was making this kind of money in this market. 640K a day. You know, nearly 650K a day, over $500,000. Like,
it's the main place for trading. Like, what can you say? But shout out Tron. You know, second place
Yeah.
there. that's actually crazy.
well over $500,000 too. And like, what are they doing right? Is this a gaming thing? Is this like, how is Tron making this kind of money? EdgeX, like, what does EdgeX, like, I see this stuff and I'm like Hyperliquid, for example, you know, they made 110, 120K in the last 24 hours. Like, is EdgeX, I don't even know what this is. Like, do they just have one or two products on here that are pulling in a ton of money and that's what this is giving? Or is it like actually the chain itself is making 640K from transactions? Or is this all companies on Solana? Like, how does that work? Do we know? How I understand it is this is the fees that they take, not even like, this isn't including Pump Fund. This isn't including, because Pump Fund makes $1 million. You know, we know they're doing like $1 million plus a day. Yeah. So this is just fees on Solana that they're taking from, you know, fees.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I think we'll close with this here. The U.S. stock market erased nearly $800 billion in market cap as the AI disruption fears spread and trade war headlines return. This was obviously, everyone's calling this liquidation like a direct effect of that Citrini like report that was put out, or the Citrini article, if you want to call it that. I don't know if I can blame, like, can we blame all this liquidation on that one report? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that can't be the reason, bro.
I will say that, you know, if you guys watch Trader Main at all, he's been calling for the top in equities for a while, for these last few weeks. Maybe I think even like month or two, he's been calling for the top in equities. So I've been watching for it, but sometimes like for things to go up, for things to go down, you know, you kind of need a narrative to drive it. You know, like narrative follows price. So, you know, it's showing up on the chart. So, you know, people like Trader Main are calling for a top because they see that it's a topping structure, but then, you know, narrative kind of drives that vehicle down. And so maybe we could see that potentially happening, you know. So, but I would say reasonable fears. No, you're good. I would say reasonable fears at the end of the day. I mean, AI, the tools that they're coming out with, it's like literally every single day, like one or two, you know, $100 billion industries are getting disrupted overnight. And I think, you know, the disruptions are coming faster than people can process it. And I see in real time, like the markets are starting to price that because, you know, they're actively managing portfolios, but I don't think like real businesses in their everyday operation have actually priced or have actually like really factored that in. So, yeah, but I know we got a 2 p.m. hard stop here. We're coming on that here today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. First day back was actually a banger. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to us today. I'll share with you guys our weekly schedule real quick before we
exciting day tomorrow. I'm
leave.
excited for. We got Street coming on, Maya from Street. Lucas, I think, is his rebrand.
Yeah, so we got tomorrow. We have Maya from Street Foundation coming on. We have Cameo AI coming on as well later on this week. And actually, looks like we did Wednesday and Wednesday, but this is technically Thursday here.
We got three Wednesdays. Wednesday the 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Oh, geez. I didn't notice that. Okay, so we'll likely put out a new tweet. I'm pretty sure we'll put out a new tweet here. But we got Maya from Street tomorrow, Cameo AI with Zen on as well. Thursday we have Purina from the Meteora ecosystem and Maxis.
Yo, I think ChatGPT must have glitched, bro. What is that? I didn't notice that.
Hey, it all accidents, man. The intern, man. We'll sweep it under the rug.
We got nothing to worry about. If AI messed up like that, bro, we are good. I'm buying the sell off on these software companies.
But guys, follow us MCG Live if you want to get updated when we put out that new schedule. And this time we'll whip ChatGPT into our AI intern into shape and make sure things come out well. But follow us, follow our hosts, myself, Chill, Josh at Mint Josh, and Dinero Dom. Man, look at that. We're coming up on 8,000
Soon, bro.
wonderful traders. So we appreciate all the love, all the support, and we'll see you guys here back tomorrow.
See you guys.
Peace.